Well, I'm here today with Nate from 814 Outdoor Sports. Nate, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, kind of where you're from and how you got into the sport?
All right, yeah, I'm Nate Latimer from Edinburgh, Pennsylvania, born in Platea, Pennsylvania. I've been around cycling and racing my whole life. My dad started the quad, so I've always been interested in watching I prefer to watch races more than compete in them. There's not a lot of races that I do compete in. But the high wheeler kind of caught my attention, so that's what I've been racing.
Okay, nice. So where did you hear about the big wheel race? How did you kind of get into big wheel racing? Where did it all begin with you?
So I have a bike shop, 814 Outdoor Sports, and a customer came in with a different style penny farthing than that. And asked me to sell it for him. I had no interest. We don't do that. We don't sell, we don't do consignment at the store, but the bike really interested me. So I'm like, yeah, if I can ride it, I'll do consignment. So I rode it a couple times, and I was the guy who ended up buying it from him. So I started riding it and having a lot of fun with it, and I started looking up races because I would see, in Europe they have a lot of races, but there's one race in the country in the United States, and it's in Maryland. So I thought, what the heck, why not?
Yeah,
give it a shot.
So was last year your first time participating in that race? And
yeah, and it's a different style of race. They close down the streets, and it's about a half-mile loop, and you just keep going in circles. So that was my first time doing a criterium style race and racing the high wheel. I did do a race here in Edinburgh. I did a time trial on it once, but that's a lot safer. When you're around a big group of people on that bike, it's a little bit scarier.
How many people were in that race last year?
So last year there was about, I want to say like around 60 or 70. They had multiple different countries. They had a couple of qualifying heats, and then they had a finals heat. My goal was to make it to the finals heat, and I did, just barely. I barely made it into the finals heat, and then I got dead last in the finals. So that's why I got a bigger bike this year, so hopefully I'll have less excuses when I do bad.
Right. So that's a newer big wheel then?
Yeah, that's handmade in Sweden. The other one that I was riding on was a 48-inch wheel. This one's a 54-inch wheel, so it's a fixed gear. So 54-inch rotation and a 48-inch rotation. I'm getting 6 more inches with every pedal stroke on that. So
oh wow, yeah,
so it helps out a lot. My feet were just moving like crazy last year in last year's race.
That's wild. Yeah. So what kind of obstacles do you think you're gonna run into this year at this year's race? Is there anything that pops out that you?
A lot of it, being in the bigger wheel, it's a little bit harder to turn. It's a little bit harder to maneuver, and just there's some really good high wheel racers in the country, so trying to keep up with them, and I just want to do a little bit better than I did last year, and make the finals again. I'd really like to make the finals heat and improve on my time from last year, because I really don't have any excuses to do worse. I've been training a little bit more, and I got a bigger bike, so we'll see.
What kind of training do you what's the training look like as far as? So
a lot of it I've just been getting on like a regular bicycle for a while, putting in some miles, but since that's a fixed gear, which means when the wheel's moving, the pedals are moving. So to stop the bike, I gotta slow down the pedals, with my legs. So it's a different style, a different muscle group almost when you're riding a fixed gear bike. So I've been trying to ride that a lot more just to get my muscles used to that, but yeah, it's just pretty much putting some miles on and training.
Yeah, just constant riding.
Yeah,
that's really cool. So that looks like a bike actually that you'd see from the 1920s.
Yeah,
something that you'd see.
Beautiful, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. Is that the one you were riding the other day? Or
yep.
Okay. Yeah. And do you still have your the
48-inch? Yeah. So I've been collecting a little fleet of penny farthings. I got a 36-inch one, little mini one for my son to start trying, and then we have that 48-inch one that I used to race on, and that's mine.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Now, what's the speed difference, do you think, between that and the 48 inch?
Okay, yeah. So that's one big thing I noticed. So on the 48 inch, I could like hold like 12 or 13 miles, and that's as like fast as my feet can go and keep up with the wheel. Whereas this, I can cruise, and I'm not really too worried. My feet aren't moving too fast if I'm going 15 or 16 miles an hour.
Okay.
So it's like a good 3 miles an hour, I feel like.
That's pretty significant, actually.
Yeah, yeah. Over a period, you know, when you're doing the race, that 6 inches every time it adds up pretty quickly.
So, as far as the race in Maryland goes, do you remember seeing a lot more people that have, you know, that size versus the 48 inch? Like, what is the most common?
Yeah. So when I got in the finals, I might have been the only 48 inch wheel there. There might have been one or two others, but you know, being tall and, you know, having long legs, like trying to keep up with those pedals, it becomes a little bit harder. So you actually, if you are a taller person, you know, a short person couldn't ride a 54 inch wheel. You need to be kind of tall. So I'm going to see how that goes, and if I get dead last in finals again this year, I'm going to have to go up another couple inches, try like a 56 or a 58.
So what's the biggest size that they
I've
make?
seen a 60, which really scares me, because I mean, even on that one, the wheel is so big when I turn, it rubs the side of my legs, because you know, I have to wear bike shorts all the time when I ride that. Yeah, so 60 inch is what I've seen. I think the guys that won last year, they were on 56 or 58 inch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how much longer till the race begins? And you know, can people watch this online?
Yeah. So that's what's really cool. Training for this race is awesome, because people see me going by on that and they're just like, yeah, you know, they get really excited, they get their phones out. So it makes it a little bit easier and motivates me to train. But the race itself, it's the same thing. They shut down the town. There is people lined up on both sides of the road cheering for you, and they stream it live on YouTube. It's July 13th. It's the National Clustered Spires High Wheel Race in Frederick, Maryland. I'll send you a link and get you some info on how you can stream it on YouTube. But yeah, it was fun to watch last year. And last year they have the preliminary heats, and then they have the finals. But during the intermission, they have a little wheel race, which has a 5-inch wheel instead of a 54-inch wheel. And my wife actually won that, so she won a race down there. I didn't come back with anything, but you can actually watch last year's race, you know, online right now too. It's on YouTube.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'll have to link that in the video then.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I don't know if I have any more questions.
I'm good, man.
That's probably good. Unless there's anything else you want to kind of add to it.
No, that's perfect.
All right, cool.